Hi there, welcome back to Not Another Budget. I'm Nicole, and on this channel I'm attempting to cash budget my way out of debt and fix several years of financial misbehaviour. And if that's something you're interested in following along with, please don't forget to stick around and check out the other content that I have created for you on this channel. Now, anyone who saw my yesterday video will know that I have immediately stopped recording and then immediately started recording this video because I wanted to talk about something today that is a really big, looming, overarching concern. Now, where do I even start? So, when I did my debt update for you all, I showed you all the date calendar. And I made reference to the fact that my credit file clears up, the debt relief order drops off in November 24. And my housing contract, and that's a yay smiley face. My house contract ends in June 24. Sad face. I need my guarantor to essentially guarantor me for a 6-month period between June and November, nearly. And to be honest, that is why, yes, you can hear a dog barking and there's lots of stuff going on. Just ignore it as best you can. There's been some issues over the road. Neighbour drama. 6 months to secure with the guarantor could go either way. I need their signature on a piece of paper. I don't need them to give me money each month towards my rent, but I need a signature on a piece of paper. And that has very much been the driving force behind me paying and increasing their minimum debt payments at my own choice. They're still only expecting £100 a month. I'm trying to pay £300 a month because ideally by June 24 I will have knocked that debt down to just nearly halfway. I'm doing it as a show of good faith, and for them they wanted to see good money management skills from me and me starting to pay them back. I don't really want to be stuck in a 5-year debt payoff, just paying them £100 a month, and if I can clear up some of my small annoying consumer debt along the way, fantastic. But the guarantor is really the driving force behind why I want to clear my debt down. So I, because of the current credit situation, won't qualify to rent a house without a guarantor before November 2024. And I have this window of June 2024. So there's this gap. There's something that's coming my way. That's also the month I finish teacher training and hopefully qualify as a teacher. Hopefully I will then have we move to the next page. So this is kind of currently where we're at with the house. So that's the house. Hopefully with work, June 24, I qualify. Yay! I start working as an early careers teacher, or ECT, from September 24. Yay! Where the minimum earnings for an ECT teacher, based on the September 2024 numbers, is 30k a year. That's without any payments for extracurricular duties, running things like the Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme or after school clubs, or any tutoring payments or adult education things that I take on. That's looking to be like my base salary. And that's wonderful because that's pretty much guaranteed if I work in the public sector wherever I live in the UK. That's pretty much like the universal 30k a year as your starting band. Wonderful. But because there's this problem with the house, June 24, I don't know if I'm going to be living in this house for much longer, i.e. June 2024 when the contract ends. And there's a huge amount of unknown around this because before I started my channel in June 2022, my rent increased. So it increased from 750 to 850. Rather than this happening naturally, I was inspected in April, so 2 months early, told that the landlord would be happy to renew and that the rent would be going up £50 a month to £800 a month. So we're going to kind of sit in the middle because I'd been a tenant there for 2 years at that point. Good relationship with the guarantor. My dad would always come along and do like the maintenance thing, so they loved that. And the house was kept in good condition, and it's a really, I was a good tenant. 3 weeks before the contract was, the deadline was there, I'd still not had contracts come through. Things had gone really, really silent with the letting agency, and the landlord manages the property on behalf of he uses a letting agent, and things have gone really, really quiet. And then out of the blue, on a Monday afternoon, the letting agent turns up and hands me a Section 20 to Section 21, which is basically a 2-month eviction notice. 2 months to vacate the property. The landlord has decided that due to his own circumstances, he needs to sell his properties. That was devastating because I'd been working on the assumption for 5 weeks that my rent would be going up to 800, that I could stay where I was. I'd made plans. I was not in the position financially to move at all, and it was incredibly stressful. And it was an overwhelming sense of grief because I was not at that point emotionally ready to leave the house. This was the first thing that was secure, that wasn't a shared house, that wasn't my parents', that wasn't on a neighbour's couch or a relative's couch because I was doing a film job for a month. It was the first place that was secure, that was mine, as close to mine as it could be for a renter. And it was a proper house, and I'd made it a home as much as I could. Letting agent then goes off with COVID. Everything goes silent. I present to the council as being made imminently homeless, so then I go onto a housing list. I'm frantically looking and trying to apply for properties. Mum and dad are trying to look for properties. The guarantor's going on the phone to people to try and find out, does anyone know of anywhere? And then I get a phone. Well, no, I don't get a phone call. The guarantor gets a phone call at 7:30 in the morning saying that the landlord has changed his mind and that the rent is going up to £850 a month, but I can stay as a tenant. So the guarantor then said, because they are very good at business, then turned around and said, well, okay, we want a 24-month contract then. That's the only thing I'll sign and agree to. We need this problem fixed, and this problem fixed, because we've been reporting it for 2 years and you've done nothing about it. And COVID access to a property is no longer an excuse, so this needs to be fixed. You also need to inform the tenant herself, because I'm not the tenant, I'm just your guarantor. So the tenant needs to be told. I, the tenant, was not told for then another 2 weeks. The housing team at the council were told, so they closed my claim. The guarantor was told, and they told me, but I was officially not informed. So 2 weeks passed, and I then have, while said letting agent is still off sick with COVID, his boss call and go, do you know what's happening with the property? Because your landlord doesn't seem to have a clue. He doesn't know if he's got a tenant in situ. He doesn't know if you've left. He doesn't know if you've been given the retracted letting notice, Section 2021. He doesn't know if you've agreed to the rent amount. And I went, so unofficially, no, I don't. And I made my case and strongly made my feelings felt at the fact that actually I was the tenant, the guarantor was not the tenant, I was the tenant, and that we wanted a 24-month contract. That's the only way we would stay. Continued to make my rent payments in this time, so there was no withholding of rent. And the X, Y, and Z problem needed to be fixed, which is quite significant. They were quite significant problems at that point. And he said, give me half an hour, I'll get hold of your landlord and I will give him a call. And he came back within half an hour, and my rent had gone up to $850, but I had a 2-year contract, which is what I am now seeing through. So this contract is up June 2024. In this time, the rental market has gone horrendous in the UK, as I'm sure it has everywhere else in the world, but it's particularly horrendous where I live. A 3-bed equivalent property to mine, literally equivalent, it's just got another bedroom and an ensuite bathroom, has gone on the market and recently rented for £1,300 a month. My neighbour's landlady, she's in a slightly different situation. I wish I had that landlady, I will be honest. has come back and said that the property next to mine, which does not have a conservatory, that's the only difference, is currently rental market value of £930 a month. So as we can see here, it's £1,300 for a 3-bed. My neighbour hasn't got a conservatory, that's £930. So I'm looking potentially at a rent increase, bearing in mind he wasn't able to increase it last year because we fixed the rent, of anywhere from £950 plus. He can't reach £1,300, but he could probably go to £1,100 if he really wants to push it at the top end. Now, the house is tired. There are carpets that need ripped up and replacing that were horrendously worn and noted as needing replacing in the inventory 4 years. It would have been 4 years ago when I moved in. And I've obviously kept on top of it as much as I can, but you know, there's knocks to skirting boards and things like that have occurred over time. As careful as you are, the bathrooms need attention in terms of the tiling. The skirting boards need a new lick of paint, and there's only so much that I'm prepared to pay for myself as a tenant. I look after the property as best I can, but it's not my job to give it a new spruce of life. So these are the numbers that I'm looking at, and this is causing me overwhelming stress and agonising, because I know what my salary is going to be. It's near enough what I'm going to be taking. A 30k a year in the UK is about a £2,000 a month take home, which is pretty much what I'm working with now. And I know based on what I'm working with now that I can't afford that. I can't afford that. That's kind of difficult. Would like it to be closer to this end, but my landlord just played absolute silly buggers, I will be honest, nearly 2 years ago. And I've got no reason to believe that he won't do the same again. So I can't ask in January. So what happens in January? Well, I get a bursary payment, so my income is going to be 5.5k for 1 month, so I have the opportunity for extra saving. I can also start applying, or I can technically start applying now, but I can officially start applying for jobs for a September start in January. It's then 6 months before the rent is due. And it's 6 months before the rent is up. There's no point me going to my landlord in January and saying, do you intend to sell the house? Do you intend to put the rent up? Because he changed his mind twice within a week. Because at the start of 1 week I was being evicted and he needed to sell the property, and at the end of the week he decided he didn't need to, but he needed to put the rent up. I'm absolutely not going to be dealing with that. I refuse to be in that situation again during my 3rd term of training, because my 3rd term of training is when I will be, everything kind of ties up. It'll be the most amount of pressure. It'll be the research papers for my PGCE will be due. It's where you're kind of heavily assessed. You're teaching full lessons 80% of the time. You're essentially running as much as you can as a trainee because you've had all of this time training. So I'm then sitting and have been sitting here and have been agonising, going, okay, well, my saving aim is £4,500 for a house, for a move, for a thing. Do I sit here and go, okay, I'm going to save that, add that to my 30k a year salary and try and stay in the same property? Am I going to do that? I don't know. So that's one option. So at the minute, 4.5k is pretty much what I've decided is the minimum that I'm going to save. But this is why I'm now aggressively tackling my debt on the run up to December, because I think I'm going to be needing to save more than that. And I will also probably be having to completely change my savings plan. So that's going to be another video. So here are my options. I can add the 4.5k to my salary. draw it monthly to cover a rent increase if the landlord decides to not sell the property. And also council tax as well will be back in my budget. So I need to add 400. Sorry, that's an option 1. Okay. Option 2, move locally. Expensive. I live in a really, really expensive area. I'm living in one of the cheapest parts of my county. I'm then potentially looking at covering the cost of a move, because realistically, 4,500. You've got your first month's rent to pay. You've got your deposit, which is typically 5 weeks worth of rent. You've got any moving fees, because I would need help moving, and there is not. It's like I'd have to move a whole house, and then also the cost of associated moving things, boxes, wrap, everything like that, just anything that you can think of that's an associated moving cost. There's 4,500 to go towards that. And I'm still then potentially looking at, realistically in this area, which sheet am I on? I'm still looking at somewhere in that window. So I would just be moving to a different property to pay the same price if this one sells. And then also there is potentially option 3, move significantly out of the area. Now, my broad geographic location is the south of England, anywhere below Birmingham. If you look at a map, is classed as the south of England. So therefore, that's my broad geographic area, okay? If I move north of Birmingham to the Midlands, or I move to Yorkshire, or Northumbria, or Lancashire, anywhere north of where I currently live is going to result in cheaper rents. It will still incur the same 4.5k moving costs, at least, to say nothing of the fact that I would need to be able to pay bills for July and September, which is another whole kettle of fish that I need to deal with, but one problem at a time. At no point in this situation am I actually at no point in any of these options am I actually looking at option 1, 2, or 3. Am I actually looking at moving to a place that I actually want to work? The school and the location, because it's the school that I want to go and be an early careers teacher in, because I can see myself growing and developing there, isn't even coming in as a factor. And this is half of the problem. I picked my training school because of the school itself. Were there schools closer to me that meant I wouldn't be paying £250 a month on petrol? Yes, absolutely. But I didn't want to train there. And there are things that I want to be able to do. I want to be able to teach in a school that has textiles, which my current training school doesn't have. And I want the option to teach A-level, so ages 16 to 18, because then that pushes into the advanced fashion and textile side, which is where I really love. I want to stay within the state or public education sector. I don't want to teach private. It's nothing against privately educated kids, but for me, what I want to be teaching and the people I want to teach it to are going to be found in the state public sector. And this is what's really frustrating. This is what's really looming. It's because in my current house, because of his previous landlord behaviour, I can't leave it to the last minute and hope that I can stay where I'm at, and then face having to move in the final month of my training, because I finished training on the 30th of June. So I have to make a decision come January. I make a decision to ultimately stay locally, and whether that is either rolling in 4.5k into this house, but then again there's still that uncertainty, or to move locally and it still be expensive, or I just sit there and go in January, I'm going to look and widen my job search, my teaching search to the country, and I will find a school that I want to teach in, and I will then look and assess and see the area, and actually, can I afford it? Do I want to live there? Are there things that I want to be? And there's obviously considerations there. If I move significantly out of the area, my family are in the south of England. That's from east to west and north of the south and south of the south. We're in the south of England. We don't go north of Birmingham. I personally love it. But that's never where we've been based. So I would be moving as an early careers teacher with the cat, by myself, with no family around me. I have done that before. My parents also, because of their support of elderly family members, would not really be in a position to help me move. So my dad, who's like half an hour away and can just quickly pop over and help me fix a thing or make a thing or paint a thing, he's not going to be there to do that. The fact that, I'm borrowing my brother's car because they live 30 minutes away, because my car is waiting for its MOT, so it's road legal again, that wouldn't really be possible. So there's considerations like that. And this is the overwhelming thing that's really stopping me from enjoying my teacher training, because I can't just settle and enjoy the learning activity, because what I have constantly in the back of my mind is, okay, well, you've got to consider the house, you've got to consider where you're going to be living, you've got to consider the jobs, you've got to consider the commute, you've got to consider this, because actually I can't just get to June, give my landlord 30 days notice and we both be happy with that, because I can't trust my landlord. And that's the thing, I can't trust the landlord and I don't trust the letting agency because of previous. I want to know come January what I'm saving for and how much, because if 4,500 isn't enough, I don't want to know that when I get to June. I want to have those goals, and I want to have that planning in mind, and it's part of my balancing of my own mental health as well as becoming planned and organised. I want to know, if I'm saving 4,500, for example, that it's going to be enough to cover the cost of a move to this area. And I'm someone that would research, so I would sit there and go, okay, right, throwing all the plans out that I have, we're going to change it, this is the new plan, this is what I'm going with, it's because I'm moving here, and the rent's X amount, I know what my bills are going to be, so therefore I'm going to do this instead of paying for this bill annually. Do you know what? I can afford to keep it in monthly because this is going down, and I know what the council tax is going to be, I know what my rent's going to be. If I'm moving to a part of the country that's going to be colder, okay, this is going up, but you know what, like all of that, I just want to know that I'm moving because I'm moving to the right school, not because the housing's cheaper. Because if I have to pull 4,500 into my salary each month to give me an extra £200 or £300 a month to pay bills, that's fine, I don't mind doing that, because the whole point of what I'm going to be saving for is a house or a home. It's that security. I'm not in a position to buy. Let's get that off the table, commenters. I'm not in a position to buy. If I do a van build, I want to do a van build for a holiday. I don't want to do a van build because it's like necessary. I want to do a van build so I can do my holiday to Sweden, which is my whole debt-free thing that I'm working towards. Yes, I'm going to be that person. But I don't want to do it to live in it. And shared rooms, I'm not going to be going for a shared room at all. So I'm not going to be going for a shared room. I am independent. I have lived independently in my own home, would have been for 4 years, 3 years before that as well. So my days of room sharing are done. It's also in some places now at the minute to rent a room around here is as expensive as a studio flat or a 1-bedroom flat. So no. So either way, I'm looking at this and I can't, and I was saying this to my mum earlier, and it's kind of what sparked this video. Do I experience teachers in my comments? Do you look for the school and then you look at the area, or do you look at the area and then you look for the school? Let me know, But either way, my whole gut, and I'm really trying to listen to my gut because I've ignored it for far too long, my whole gut is telling me that I'm not going to be living in this house where I am come June. And my neighbours there going, or both sets of neighbours are going like, oh, it's fine, it'll be okay, like, yeah, of course you'll be here. And I'm just looking around going, I've got 21 massive storage boxes of fabric in the garage that I won't have time to use, that would have to be moved. I've got junk lying everywhere. I've got crap on every surface. I've got this piling up. I've bought stuff for this hobby that's I'm not going to pick up and do because hello brain, let's just obsessively buy everything for this new attractive hobby and then do nothing with it, and 4 years later you've still got the stuff. Yep, that's a video that's coming soon. So I can't 100% answer that I'm enjoying teacher training, because emotionally I'm too drawn away by what's going on here. Practically, learning new skills, being back in a school's environment, being able to experience a classroom and everything like that, and be around professional adults, yes, and I am absolutely finding value in it. So from that side of it, yes, but I can't just settle in and enjoy my training year because this is looming in the background and I want to know what I'm doing come January. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Experienced teachers, do you move for the school or do you move for the area? Anyone who's also recently qualified as a teacher, what did you do? Did you stay locally so you would have your support structure around you? Or did you go, I'm just going to find the best school for me to develop and learn my trade in? Anyone who has moved, either for cheaper housing or for a lower cost of living, let me know how, and that's worldwide as well, it doesn't need to be UK. Let me know in the comments, was it worth doing it in the end? Was the money you paid out to move, could that have been put back into your budget to cover the cost of staying where you are? Let me know. I'm fine living without my support structure nearby. I am fine living without my support structure nearby. It just always helps to have it, so it's not a key consideration. But let me know down in the comments. I'm not a city dweller, so I wouldn't be moving to a city. Even if a school was in a city, I would live in the surrounding countryside. So I'm a village girl at heart. I'm a village countryside girl at heart. Let me know down in the comments what you would do. Either way, my starting salary is going to be 30k from September, so I'm looking at £2,000 a month roughly take home without any extra things that I do, and it may mean that actually I need to do extra things because this cost of living crisis is an absolute biatch that's not going anywhere anytime soon, I don't think. So yes, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's food for thought, and certainly hopefully getting it off my chest can help relax me a little bit as well. I'm going to go chill out for the rest of my Sunday before the school week starts tomorrow, and I will see you all officially tomorrow. But have a wonderful week wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.